I hesitated for weeks before deciding to do this episode, mainly because I didn't want to invite any haters or trolls in the comments section down below. Healthy disagreements is fine. I'm all for that. Sharing opinions and viewpoints, no problem. Nasty remarks, I am not interested in, and they're just going to be deleted, so I wouldn't bother putting those at all. But still, who knows? This episode could close the Kazdoy closet forever. But for now, this is the Kazdoy closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet, full of all the stuff that I love. And today, my least favorite and favorite films of 2022. Let's check it out. I'm going to start with my least favorite films of 2022, and in no particular order. But let me start off, as I have before, by saying I respect all the people that have worked towards making these films a reality. I respect the creative process. So all credit goes to you guys. They just didn't happen to work for me. So I'm not trying to put anybody down or slam anybody. The reason why I was concerned about nasty comments for this episode is because I'm a real outlier on all these films. These 4 films I'm going to talk about that were my least favorite. People love these films, but on the Letterboxd app, I gave them 1, maybe 1.5 stars. I'll talk about Letterboxd a little bit later on. But my first least favorite film of 2022 was Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. About halfway through, I texted Jarvis, a loyal subscriber and viewer of this channel, and I know he liked this film, and I texted him and I said, does this film get any less annoying in the second half? He said no. So for me, there was no real plot, no fully developed characters. The theme, people talk about this film, about how it's so heartfelt and a heavy theme and poignant. I didn't get any of that. I don't know what the theme was supposed to be, really. I think it was supposed to be something like nothing really matters, so do what you want to do, or what other possibilities you could have in life, or how to treat your kids, whatever it was. It escaped me. At some point, they have some people have hot dog fingers where they're wiggling around, and there's something about a big bagel in the sky. I didn't find that funny. I found it kind of juvenile and a little contrived, and it just made me think, well, why do they have hot dog fingers? What is that supposed to be? I just don't get it. Anyways, I think part of this, I'm not sure, but I think part of this is part of this film kind of appeals to people who play video games. I don't play video games. If you do, that's great. I've got no opinion for or against video games, really. I just don't get into them, and I don't get into video game humor. I don't seek out video game related films. It's just not my jam, as you might say. And I had a feeling this kind of appeals to that because of the frenetic nature of this film. And it's kind of manic. I really don't like real manic things and frenetic things. That's why I don't watch too much animation, really. Anyways, I do give, there was also something I'm not into is when the sensory overload in films. I'm not really into that. And that's why I don't go to any Marvel movies anymore. And when they overload you with the music, that's one of my pet peeves. Trying to tell me constantly how to feel and how to act. I can figure that out on my own. Less is more, guys, with the music, all right? I do give credit to Michelle Yeoh. I thought she did a good job. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was really funny and really good in this as well. And I like some of the visual energy, but overall, this is something I would never ever watch again. It was a chore to sit through. Another film that I did not care for in 2022 was Nope. Now, I'll be honest, I fell asleep a couple of times. I think I was nodding off the first couple of times I tried to watch this. So I gave it another shot, and I watched it a second time. It's the only film on this list I watched a second time, and it worked a little bit better for me, but still, long, drawn-out scenes, a lead performance that is almost catatonic. I don't know what he was doing. And they named the lead character OJ. I don't know why they did that either, because every time they said his name, it took me out of the film, and I started thinking about the OJ trial because I read like 5 books about that. So that took me out. There's a subplot with a chimp and a sitcom, and that was pretty well done. I'm not sure what the point of it was. I kind of got the point later on the second viewing, but still, that was a reach. And I'm a horror film fan. I really want Jordan Peele to do well. I'm rooting for all these films. I don't go into these films looking to dislike them. I want to like them all, but it's just not happening for me. The visuals were interesting, but otherwise, nope, didn't work for me either. The third least favorite film of mine was of 2022 was a film everybody loved. It made at least $1 billion, and that's Top Gun Maverick. I never saw the first Top Gun film, so I had no feelings of nostalgia going into this one. The characters for me were totally cardboard characters, from the officer in charge who's trying to control Tom Cruise, to Tom Cruise trying to do things his way, to the young bucks, who are kind of daredevils and stuff, and they're playing volleyball on the beach with their shirts off and everything. Boy. And then the inane dialogue. In fact, the Mrs. Kazdoy closet saw a trailer for Top Gun Maverick with a couple of lines of dialogue. She said, based on that trailer alone, I would never see this film. I said, that dialogue is the entire film. The film is filled with that kind of bad dialogue. The overacting, the overwrought music, again, pounding away, and just the predictable plot, wow, just did not work for me, and people love this. The action scenes at the end are impressive, of course. They're state-of-the-art, and Jennifer Connelly is impressive and pretty state-of-the-art as well, but that's just not enough for me. I watched this on Paramount Plus, and some people say, well, you got to go to the theater. You got to see it in the theater with the surround sound and et cetera, et cetera. I made that mistake once before with the remake of Dune, because it was streaming, but I had heard you got to go to the theater, and I went and saw it, and that was a mistake. Let me tell you, I should have just watched it streaming. In fact, all the films I'm talking about on this episode are streaming on various platforms, except for my last pick for least favorite film of 2022. This is the only one I saw in the theater, and this is The Fabelmans. And this was the most disappointing film for me because Steven Spielberg directed it. I like a lot of his films, and I knew this was sort of autobiographical about how he became involved in filmmaking and developed his love for film and all that. That's about 30 minutes out of this 2.5-hour film, and the rest is just a bunch of family soap opera for the most part. So really disappointing. Judd Hirsch shows up at one point, and the film comes alive with his performance and his character, but that's about 10 minutes of the film. And then there's one segment near the end where Spielberg's doppelganger is in high school, and as a former high school English teacher, I always look at these films when they have high school kids to see if they're age appropriate. These guys were all like 25-year-old Aryan gods, and they're beating him at volleyball and picking on him and stuff because he's the odd man out. The last sequence in the film, a little bit of a spoiler here, the last sequence of the film is Spielberg's character, his supposed character, meets a famous director. And that is a great scene. And I'm not going to say any more about it, but it only lasts about 10 minutes. And I thought, if that scene was if the entire film was similar to that last scene, I would have been in seventh heaven. But no, it was just that one scene. So The Fabelmans, people seem to love it. I sat there thinking, why is this so bad? All right, let's get more positive. I'm going to talk about the favorite films from 2022. Not the films that I just saw in 2022, but the ones made in 2022. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because my first pick is really a group of films, because this was that was a great year for horror films, I thought. All the films I'm going to talk about now are all streaming on some platform or another. So really good horror films, original ideas, good performances, well done films, interesting. I'm talking about Barbarian, The Black Phone, X, Smile, Fresh, two on Shudder that I really liked called Speak No Evil and Resurrection. Kind of those two could be kind of divisive, and I wasn't sure about them, but they really stuck with me. And I think the most impressive, well, I don't think, I know the most impressive film I saw as far as horror films go was Crimes of the Future, directed by David Cronenberg. Now, I'm not that objective because I'm a big Cronenberg fan, but he's one of the few directors I think should really be called visionary, because he has a unique outlook on things, a unique perspective, and you know a Cronenberg film for the most part when you see it. Whether I will watch that again, that I don't know. That's a tough one to sit through in some ways. But I think if there's a special edition Blu-ray, I'll be the first in line to get that one. Another film that I really liked in 2022 was Emily the Criminal, and this is a neo-noir. It's a strong story. It's unpredictable. We have a female lead, which is not typical for a noir or a neo-noir. You know, it happens now and then, but it's not the usual case. And it's basically about this young lady who is really behind on her college loan, and she doesn't take any crap from anybody really, and she has to resort to some illegal things in order to make some money. But the best film I saw made in 2022 was a film that I had very low expectations for. I almost didn't watch it, except that I had heard a few things. It started streaming, and that is the Banshees of Inisherin. Funny, sharp writing, good, well-developed characters, interesting ideas about life, about death, about art. Apparently, the filmmaker was also a playwright. You can tell by how this is written. Good performances by the four lead actors, especially Colin Farrell. I did not expect that. It was not a typical Colin Farrell character for sure, and he was just really good in it. Beautiful location. The music is evocative without being overpowering, and really beautiful music. And it had two of my favorite scenes. I'll try to keep this very general so I don't spoil anything. One is when Colin Farrell's sister kind of dresses down his best friend, and another one is when the kid in the town is sort of like the village dimwit. He professes his affection for Colin Farrell's sister. Those two scenes alone are just really memorable, really stuck in my mind. And so the Banshees of Inisherin, from what I've seen in 2022, that was the best thing I saw. So if you look at my list of least favorite films of 2022, it's obvious I'm kind of out of touch with the mainstream audience and pretty much out of touch with most critics. I'm not trying to look for anything obscure or anything particularly edgy, or I only watch foreign films. I'm not trying to be fancy. Just I wanted to like these films. They just did not work for me. And now you know why on this channel I talk mostly about older films. They just seem more rewarding to me. So, in the time it takes to watch something like Top Gun Maverick, I could have watched two older films probably from back here and have been perfectly happy. So feel free to leave a comment, a nice comment, or a civilized comment, let's say, down below. I want to thank Michael and Tina for leaving very nice comments since my last episode. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Check out the Kazdoy Closet on Letterboxd. Harvey did that. He's following me now. Thank you, Harvey. The link is down below in the show notes. You can see, you can't see, you can read my short reviews on all the films I talked about today and some other stuff that I don't talk about on my usual episodes. Feel free to subscribe, share this with your friends and neighbors. It's free. I'm not selling anything. I'm not asking for anything. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.